And what's your name?
Arthur.
David. Good to
Nice
meet you.
to meet you.
And this is David as well.
Hi, David, born yesterday.
Yeah, you get it.
I get it.
So, what's something useful that you think David should understand?
I think that a lot of people will give you advice and tell you how they think you should live or what they think is important or what they think you should think is important. But I think that the most important thing is kind of discovering your own path and finding your own voice and taking the input from other people and advice from other people and kind of comparing it to your own existence and experience and seeing if it lines up and being okay to hold on to the things that do line up and let go of the things that don't line up.
So how do we measure what lines up and what doesn't? What is the internal?
Yeah, I think that part of it is like a self-trust that you have to develop. So it's, kind of knowing what, in one sense, like what feels right or what kind of resonates with you internally. I think a lot of it's like what makes sense for your particular values or like the way you were raised or your aspirational values. I think that it's kind of I think it's just kind of an intuition thing in some sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, so sometimes some people might get an intuition that leads them to a bad thing.
Yeah.
Or how do you know any kind of methods that we could potentially skip those potential pitfalls?
Yeah, I think that I guess following your gut insofar as it's not harming other people is important.
Yeah.
But also like what is a harm to other people is something that's dependent on who you are and like your perception. So I think there's some sense of kind of societally agreed upon norms, but also if you look at examples throughout history where societally agreed upon norms were not good, it's hard to say. So it's I think being self-aware and being self-critical and kind of looking at your current experience and measuring it to the experience of like the collective world and also the past and where you want yourself and your society to go. But again, that's another thing that not everybody agrees on.
Right. That's the hard part.
Yeah, and I don't think you're ever going to find a particular set of values that everybody will agree on.
Yeah.
As you can see in our society and every society that's existed since society's existed.
Yeah.
So I think maybe in like, I've thought about this a lot. I think maybe in like smaller contexts, like your local community, you can have more of an impact than in your larger community. And kind of the golden rule of treating others the way that you want to be treated, and regardless of who they are and regardless of how they treat you, both treating them how you want to be treated, for better or for worse, whether that means if they're like a harmful person or a toxic person, to not let them have proximity in your life. Which is this is a lot for someone born yesterday. I'm assuming
he's got a lot to chew on for sure.
Yeah.
That's why I ask all these questions because I'm pretty sure going to come up.
Go around this way. Okay. What, Daddy?
Have you always thought this way?
Not like always. I would say, more or less for a while I've thought this way. I think over the last few years, COVID kind of gave me a lot of time to do introspection and evaluate my beliefs and my values and shift those and really like look at myself where I am and learn how to like love and accept myself where I am, and then also look at myself where I want to be, and also look at myself where I was, and kind of try to integrate all three of those things into a person that I'm comfortable being with when I'm by myself. And that's helped me a lot, and I've found that like kindness to myself has begotten kindness to others.
I like that phrase you used there, comfortable being by yourself. Like, now I'm afraid to someone who isn't comfortable being by themselves, can you think of any kind of insight that you've learned in life to say, this is what really helped me understand that better?
Therapy helps a lot. And helps a lot for me, and I know a lot of other people. that's probably the biggest thing that has helped me.
What do you think therapy does?
I think kind of depending on the modality or the type of therapy you're in, I think that it does just that. It teaches you how to be, how to, kind of look at yourself as a whole person and take the good with the bad, and learn how to love yourself and accept yourself as you are.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do, and it's not something that I'm an expert on by any means.
Sure.
But that's like
a lot of things to be experts in.
yeah. But I think that's kind of what I've experienced.
Yeah.
And I can't really speak for, and that's kind of what I was telling one day old David. At the beginning was that a lot of people will tell you what you should value and how you should live your life.
Yeah.
And I think insofar as it's not like treading on others or harming others, I'm like kind of okay with how people want to live their lives.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a hard place to be, because I want to have control of things, and I want people to do the things that I want them to do.
Absolutely.
But it's worked okay for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. Any questions for David or for myself or anything?
Yeah. What's your answer to your question?
Which question, just to be sure?
The overarching question of, if you were to talk to a one-day-old person, how would you explain what life is about, or what life should be about?
That's a good question. I think that there is a certain amount of existence that we have by interacting with other people, that our self is eternal in a lot of ways, but also part of ourselves is external, and that it is affected by what we surround ourselves with, what kind of food we feed it, and so that it's important to bring things into your life, if you can, that make you comfortable whenever you are by yourself. Like I like that phrase.
What are some things in your life that you bring in to make you feel good?
I like you. I like talking to strangers in a lot of ways. It's a hit and miss sometimes, because some people are ornery and straight up unpleasant. But every once in a while, you have to make a genuine connection with a person, and to me, that's very life-giving. It's like you look at a bush and you can't eat the branches, you can't eat the leaves, but some of the berries.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a source of nutrients right there. And I got kids. My kids mean a lot to me. Sharing, vicariously living through their experiences, almost getting to live the first time again, like experiencing things for the first time again.
That's cool.
Again,
Yeah, that's cool.
And and then once you get into the deeper, like being known by a person, like putting yourself out there as somebody who knows you and it's still comfortable, and you don't have to squirm.
It's hard, right?
It's very hard. Yeah.
yeah. It's hard to get there, like with yourself, and when you're not there with yourself, it's much harder to get there with other people.
Yeah.
Because I think as much as we have this kind of streak of independence as Americans, or maybe just people, but like as much as we want to be independent, like nobody is truly independent. We all have to depend on each other. And I think in a lot of ways, the degree to which we thrive as people is the degree to which we are able to open ourselves up and live life with other people. At least that's kind of what I've experienced. So.
And I mean, of course, there's little caveats of shelter and limited resources, aggression, but at the same time, it's those kind of principles of trying to build a community of which you can interact with people and not have to squirm. I think that lessens those risks.
Yeah, and I think especially so when folks are in vulnerable spaces, whether they're under oppression or they're in underserved communities or whatever. I think especially in those situations, people really have to learn to rely on each other. Because the world doesn't care about them. The powers that be don't care about them. And, don't care about us, really. So it's not just a them. It's and I that's kind of I think a bad way to put it, a them, because it's. I mean, I do have kind of an exceptional amount of privilege. but I also live within a similar system to the rest of the country and the rest of the world. So it's like holding these things in tension, I think. And figuring out how to be okay with yourself and be okay with the world, while also recognizing that not everybody's gonna be pleasant and not everybody's looking out for you. I know very few people.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
One last question for you.
Sure.
How have you learned to sort through people who you think are actually kind of going to give nutrients to your life and people that you should potentially not invest energy in?
Yeah, it's hard. I think I generally approach people fairly openly, insofar as I am like comfortable with them, and maybe that they are similar to me in some kind of way, or we have some kind of connection, or they express kindness. I think I generally approach people fairly openly, but I also try to be discerning on behavior patterns and attitudes that I've experienced in others that were not beneficial to my well-being. And it's hard because I even have people close to me, my family or friends that I care about a lot and I love a lot. I've known them for a very, very long time, but I don't necessarily be able to I might not necessarily be able to let them have the level of access in my life that they might want. And so I think standing up for yourself and also standing up for them as much as you can. Again, like hard to assume what's best for somebody, as I explained to one-day-old David, but I think it's
I think it's some good insight. I really appreciate the time you took to open up with us. I think David appreciates it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we're all going to die eventually, so
true.
Make the best of it.
That's right, absolutely.
Live and let live.
Yeah, be a miserable.
Absolutely. Cool, thank you.